Hey everybody, and welcome to episode 7 of the Southern Makes podcast. This is a podcast about crochet, knitting, sometimes cross stitch, and just generally the crafting that I get up to on a pretty much bi-weekly basis. Sometimes it's a little shorter and sometimes it's a little longer. Thank you so much if you're tuning in. I'm really excited, which I think is starting to become a catchphrase that I probably need to stop saying so much, to show you what I have today. For the first time, and probably for the only time for a while, I have some stash acquisition even. So I have been wanting to record this podcast for a few weeks now, and life has just kind of gotten in the way. So I have a little bit of time right now, so I'm going to try to record, and if there are a lot of cuts, which there probably will be, I think I'm going to have to record half of it now and then half of it a little bit later. So I apologize for that, but y'all are okay. You're okay. Oh, and I am coming to you from the greater Nashville area, from a city called Murfreesboro. It's about 30 miles outside of Nashville. I live out in the country with my husband Kyle and our now 8-month-old daughter Charlotte, a couple of dogs, a cat, living the dream. So let's just get right into it. First off, don't know if you, last episode, that was my first time wearing a mic, so I do apologize for my hair being all in that area. I know that was probably annoying, especially if you were wearing headphones, so I'm going to try to keep my hair away from that mic, but let's talk about what I am wearing. Let's see. So this is the honeycomb pullover by Nomad Stitches. It is crocheted. This outfit doesn't look very flattering in the camera, but I felt cute. Made you think that. It's a crocheted pullover, mostly just single and double crocheted, a raglan style sweater with the increases here on the sleeves. It is top down, so you start here and you separate for the sleeves and crochet the whole body and then go back and do the sleeves. It calls for a DK weight, so I used Yarn Bee from Hobby Lobby, their soft and sleek DK in the Oxblood colorway on a 4.5 millimeter hook for the body, and then I did a 4 millimeter for this ribbing and a 3.75 for the bottom ribbing and the arm ribbing. And the honeycomb detail is also, this yarn is a dog hair magnet. So cute. So I'm not sure the exact yardage. It is a paid for pattern that it calls for, but it is supposed to be a cropped sweater, but I'm not one for the cropped style, so I made mine a little bit longer. So all you do to do that is, instead of starting the honeycomb pattern here right under where you split for the sleeves, you can just keep crocheting until it's long enough for you. So that's what I did. I think I added it's 7 to 10 extra repeats of this double single crochet repeat pattern until I felt it was long enough. And I know it's going to stretch because it's an acrylic yarn, so that's about where I like my sweaters to be. And then I used 3 balls, but it was a crazy headache to get this yarn. I started out with 1 ball because I originally bought 1 ball for my Ingalls sweater to be the snowflake contrasting color and decided not to go with it. So I had that, and figuring that it would be super easy to buy some more balls, but they never had them in stock. So my mother-in-law ended up finagling, I think I told this story, to get me 2 more balls. So I ran out because I wanted to do full length sleeves. My arms are pretty long, so I needed quite a bit of yarn. So I did do 1 full sleeve and then realized that I was definitely not going to have enough, giving me the worst yarn chicken anxiety ever. So I ripped back and started on the other sleeve and kind of got them the same length and decided how much yarn I needed and the length and all. So I think I ended up ripping back 1 sleeve 2 or 3 times until I figured out the exact length, and I had this much yarn left over, seriously, like 6 inches of yarn left over, but they hit me at my elbow if I'm not, like putting my arm up, which is fine because I roll my sleeves up anyway. And I figured with this tight neck, which isn't the most flattering style on me, I have bigger shoulders and a larger bust, that it would kind of look like I'm choking if the sleeves were super long, I guess, and with the dark color. I'm not sure what I was thinking, but I think it worked out. I think it looks good. I wore it over, we went over to the in-laws' house to watch a football game a couple of weeks ago, and I wore it, and Kyle's mom smocks and does embroidery and quilting and stuff like that, so she's always working on something, so we're always talking about what we're working on, and she asked me, and I just said, this. She's like, what? Oh my gosh, I thought you bought that from the store. Ah. And her husband, Kyle's dad, his name's Alan, she goes, Alan, she made that. And I don't know, it's the first time that I think somebody was like truly impressed with something that I had made, and I'm sure I was blushing, and it was just really nice, and I was so super proud. I am wearing a gray cami underneath this because it's the only one I had around, but I wore a black one, so you kind of can't see through it as much, but that's just the nature of the crochet fabric. It's wholly, you can see through it. It does provide more drape, so you can see, but if it was black or even this oxblood color, then it wouldn't be as big of an issue, but I still like it. In person, I don't think it looks quite as holy, but I do think that it's going to stretch out a little bit, which honestly isn't that big of a problem for me, because if you've watched my other podcast episodes, I like those huge oversized sweaters. So it's not that big of a problem if it gets bigger. This neck has plenty of room to grow and get bigger. It's not going to fall off my shoulders. I'm really loving this. And if I didn't say, this pattern is by Nomad Stitches. I love it. And if you wanted, if you are a crocheter, I'm definitely going to make this again, omitting the honeycomb pattern. And it's just a simple sweater, or you can make up your own pattern for the bottom, really, because she gives you, the knowledge how to make your little design down there. So it's just a simple raglan crocheted sweater that fits really well. And with it being DK weight, it's a little bit sturdier than a fingering weight sweater. A little bit, it is warm, and I guess that might be the acrylic. I've heard both things. People say, oh, the wind goes right through me, my sweater is acrylic, or, oh, I'm sweating because my sweater is acrylic. Well, which one is it? Does it make you hot, or does it not hold warmth? I don't know. I get hot in acrylic, and I get hot under all of my acrylic blankets. So I think it makes you hot. I don't know. But yeah, I really recommend this pattern, and I really love it, and I'm really proud of it. It's just, and I think I said I put this little handmade leather tag on there. I bought just a pack of them at Hobby Lobby. Super cute. And I know when I do end up opening my Etsy store for real, I'm going to get some off of Etsy from a handmade seller that have my logo on there. So that's exciting. I have my Stella with me today. Barley is in the bedroom, but Stella was outside, and she likes to just lay out in the grass. So I just let her lay out there. And then of course, when I came out here into this room to podcast, she was jumping on the door wanting in, so I just brought her in here with me. She is the older and the more laid back of the two dogs, so she's allowed to just lollygag outside, but Barley, if she's outside, all she's doing is barking. So I usually bring her in when she's done with her business and done playing for a little bit. Anyway, so that is really all I have for finished objects right now this week, but I have a lot of whips that I am so excited. I'm going to stop saying that, I promise. So excited to show. I have been wanting to record a podcast for weeks. And especially about the yarn that I've gotten. I really need to clean up this room. Stella's just like, this is a gold mine of just random stuff. Of the yarn that I purchased, and all of the yarn that I purchased, because I got a little addicted. So I understand all of y'all now when you have acquisitions every week. Oh my gosh, it is so fun to order, to pick out and order, and then also to open and get, and then also to knit, and then also to wear. So I mean, it's just like the whole process is just so fun. I'm straight up addicted. But yeah, this will probably be the only time. So I'm going to relish this stash acquisition section that I get to in a second. So let's talk about some whips. All of these whips are knit. I haven't been crocheting on my autumn leaves afghan or my flowers that are back there. I haven't been working on those, and I haven't caught up on my Moogly cow blanket either. So no crochet this week, but it's because I have so many knitting projects on the needles. So first up, I'll show you the right side, is my farmhouse shawl. This is a pattern by Cabin 4, paid pattern on Ravelry. Whoop. Of course, I'm dropping stitches. I need some more things you put on the edge of your needles so your stitches don't fall off. And I'm using, I thought it was Rustic Romantic, but it's not. Is this it? Sorry. Yeah, it's not Rustic Romantic, but it is just a Yarn Bee yarn. It's a worsted weight, but it is thicker. I think it's like more on the Aran side of like that weight. Not a 5, but like a heavy 4. But I like it. I've just wound it into a cake that's super messy because Charlotte got a hold of it, because this has become my couch knitting, because it's just a simple pattern and the needles are too short for it, so it's all bunched up. It's just a simple pattern repeat. You see it here and here and here and here. So you just are repeating the same thing. It's really easy to stop in the middle of a row, and I have my 2 stitch markers marking the center just in case I forget. So it's just a simple knit purl. I think you do yarn over, but it's a really simple pattern if you're looking for not quite a mindless, but just an easygoing shawl pattern. And it has fringe. I'll insert a picture of everything I'm talking about over here. I'm not sure. But it has fringe. It's really big. Like, this is super big, and I think that I need to count. I think I'm on the 3rd repeat, and there's 5 repeats of the 2 sections, and then a final section. I can't remember. I haven't referenced the pattern in a little bit, but I really like it. This yarn is mostly acrylic, I think, but it does have cotton in it, so it doesn't have a lot of memory, which I actually like. So I wouldn't do that for a sweater or hat or, basically anything other than like a dishcloth or something. But for this shawl, I like the cotton. It kind of makes it squishy and airy, and it'll drape really well once I've washed it and worn it. I think it'll just be super trendy. I think it's super trendy. Like, just because you can clearly see, I know this is hard to show. I should have taken everything off the needles, huh? You can see the pretty knit stitches really well with this yarn, and I love the cream color. So yeah, I'm really enjoying working on that, just as like I said, not quite a mindless, but just an easy project while Charlie's not napping. She requires a lot of attention, so I barely get any knitting done. I can't focus on like a Colorwork sweater or anything patterned really, and I don't want to play with her, but sometimes just to pick up some knitting while she's happily playing with her toys is really nice, and not having to think about anything. And then if I need to pick her up, I don't have to like mark my spot or anything. I just slide it down the needles and I'm good to go. So that has been a really fun pattern. And let's see, the next thing is and I know I'm not pronouncing this correctly, so please forgive me and dropping more stitches. I really need some of those end holders. The Occhiello sweater. Let's see, I don't remember who it's by actually. I'll put that on the screen because I think I got too focused on trying to figure out how to pronounce this. But it's a Colorwork top-down sweater with a rolled neckline, so it doesn't have ribbing at the neck, and it's kind of rolled up on my needles. But Colorwork sweater, and I've only been working on this a couple of days. I'm just obsessed with Colorwork. I really love it. I have found my thing that I never knew that I needed. It is Colorwork, and I'm obsessed. I could just sit there and do Colorwork for hours, I think. And my hands do hurt. So I was going to talk about this in the acquisitions, but the needles I'm using for this, it calls for, you start on 3.25s for this rolled neckline, and then you go up to a 3.75, I believe, for the sweater. So I started off on DPNs. I bought this little set of Knit Picks wooden DPNs. They're 4 inches. I got the 4-inch over the 6-inch because they were like $10 cheaper. So they are a little tricky because they are so short to use, but I made it work. And then I bought some Chagu little red lace circular needles, and I'll talk more about like the story behind these in the acquisition section because I'm stoked. But that's what these are on. These are on the 3.75s, and I also bought a 3.5 because a lot of sweater patterns are the 3.5 size. So, and I'm going to knit all the sweaters. So yeah, this pattern has been super nice. This yarn is by Bay Horse Yarns in their Shad Belly colorway, which is an indie dyed yarn, which I'll also talk about in the stash acquisition section. I believe that it is a single ply. Oop. Here is her tag. Hopefully that's focusing. I need a new phone, I think. So it's the Shad Belly colorway, fingering weight single ply, 100% superwash merino, 437 yards, 100 grams, hand wash recommended. So it says hand dyed in Northern California, museling free and ethically sourced fibers, hand wash in cold water. So this woman, I believe her name is Pam. We follow each other on Instagram. She is the sweetest person. So I decided that my first indie dyed yarn purchase had to be from her, and this was on sale because it's a discontinued base. So I picked this up along with the other that I bought that I'll show you in my acquisitions to make the branches and buds sweater. Originally, this was going to be the branches part of that sweater, but then I guess I had a brain lapse and I didn't order enough yardage to make that sweater. So I found this sweater and paired it with, this is, I know this is just a ball, it's called Spiness. It's a yarn bee. It's viscose and polyester, I think, and you can see it's like, it's plied, but it feels like there's just, it feels like the DMC cross stitch thread, like where there's just like 6 strings together somehow and you can split them. That's what this feels like, and it's shiny. So I don't love it, but I was looking at colors and had all my colors together and decided that this would be the best. But I was going to have this be the main body of the sweater. Charlie has gotten a hold of all of my cakes and it doesn't go, so I'm not quite sure what the main body color is going to be because I don't have enough of this blue. And if I'll put a picture of the pattern of a finished sweater of this pattern, and the pattern, it's a solid color here and then the color work and then a different color for the body. So most of them flow, but I don't know if that color or that cake will flow with the mustard and the navy, because these two go super well together, I think, but I don't think that that would go. So I'm having a dilemma. But yes, flying through this Colorwork, I absolutely love it. It's a chart, so there's a written pattern and then it's charted for the Colorwork, and it's really fun. I really, really like it. I'm enjoying it a lot. And these needles are so much better for my hands. I think that they are lightweight and the cord is so flexible. Like, see, it's like a real set of knitting needles. So that's amazing. So my hands can tolerate a lot more work on this, which is really, really nice. So I don't, my hands are still cramping and stuff, but they're not, like, it's not stopping me from knitting like it was or it is with some of my other sweaters that I have on my heavier and more rigid corded circular sets of needles. So yeah, so that is that whip that I just started that 3 days ago. So I have been chugging away, and it was over the weekend, so I got a lot of work done over the weekend because I was able to stay up a little bit later. Kyle and I swap off. He gets a weekend sleeping day and I get a weekend sleeping day. One of us gets up with Charlotte. So on the Saturday night, I stayed up pretty late for me. It was like 1 a.m. Working on that color work because I had a goal in mind on the chart that I did get to, by the way. So yay. And so got a little work done on that. Are you even a real podcaster if you don't come on to your podcast and say that you've recorded something 2 or 3 times? Because I just recorded a whole work in progress section and got done and realized that I never pressed the record button. And also, why am I glowing? It happens, right? Is that too dark? I need a new phone, I think. Okay, so let's do this again. I am making the Winter Me sweater by Winterludes on Ravelry. Here it is. It's on tiny needles, so I promise it's not a child sweater. It's a full adult sweater. I am making the largest size that there is in the pattern. Can't remember what the bust measurement was, maybe 50 something inches. I'm a 42 or 43 inch bust, and I wanted some positive ease, and it's Colorwork, so I know it'll be a little bit tighter, so I think that will be pretty good. But that's not it is a free pattern, so excuse me, you can't blame it. I don't know, what words am I looking for? Words, they're hard. But that's not a super inclusive sizing chart because I don't consider myself on the larger end of the spectrum. I feel like I'm pretty average in the spectrum. So for me to be making the largest size is just kind of odd, but whatever. I usually make the large size if there is one in the pattern. That's normally the size that I make. So it starts off on smaller needles. I can't quite remember. I think it's 2.75 for this small rib section here, and then you move up to a 3.5 for the body of the sweater. And the gray is Drops Flora, which is this color. It is 65% wool and 35% alpaca. These come in 50 gram balls, 210 meters, and 230 yards in one of these guys. So that is the main color. And then I'm holding a strand of Drops Flora along with a strand of mohair for the colorwork sections. So the first colorwork section is these 2 colors. Well, the first there's 2 different graphs for this section, and then the main graph, the big graph for this section, and then you redo the 2 on the bottom. So I'm holding the pink and the mohair for the top part, and then I'm holding whites, this white color, with the pink mohair as well. So these 2 for the main colorwork section, and then now I've swapped back to the pink and mohair for the bottom section. And I'm not holding a strand of mohair, although I do have gray mohair with the main body of the sweater. I purchased the mohair to make the no frills sweater, but I didn't get enough for that sweater, so I am repurposing it in my color work, and it is so squishy, so wonderful. Here are my floats, and catching floats on this sweater is a non-issue because there's no, I know people catch them every 5 stitches or every 10 stitches, but you don't have a 5-stitch difference in any of this color work as far as I can remember. It's been a couple of days since I finished this big part, but there's not even a 5-stitch difference in the colors in the color work, so you really don't have to catch any floats even for this sweater. So it has made for a super relaxing knit. I am enjoying it so much. It is my first time working with just a straight up wool blend of yarn, and it is a game changer. This yarn is going to be my go-to yarn for sweaters and colorwork, because as I said, I'm obsessed with colorwork. I am just obsessed. It's my favorite thing on this world, besides my husband and baby and friends and a lot of other things are my favorite thing. But as far as hobbies go, this colorwork business is the absolute best. So I am on the second repeat of the color charts, and then I haven't read ahead in the pattern. Usually I do read patterns. I really like doing that, so you kind of know, you have in your head like what the situation is with the whole pattern. You can kind of plan and everything. But I didn't read ahead for this one. I think I was just really excited to do color work, because I cast this on when I got my yarn shipments in and realized that I couldn't make the no frills. I couldn't make the branches and buds. I couldn't make the feather and fern. There was one more. So I couldn't make any of the patterns that I had been desperately wanting to make. So I just cast this on right away, and it was free and beautiful, and I don't regret this at all. It's amazing. It's amazing and so soft. I haven't taken it off the needles to try on. I know 100% it's going to fit, because I cast this on but once before this time with these two colors, and there wasn't enough of a difference between these two to even see the colorwork chart. So I changed to, I am blowing all the way out. I changed to this lighter pink with the gray. And that, obviously, you can see that one a lot better. So, and I didn't get very far, probably just the first little section before I was like, yeah, I if I'm going to go through the work of doing a colorwork sweater, definitely want to see the colorwork, even though I would know it's there, but yeah. So I really am enjoying this so much. I recommend, if you are doing a colorwork sweater, I almost recommend this pattern. It's free. The needles aren't teensy. There's really nothing bad about it. And the colorwork charts, the first two are only 4 stitches each repeat, so super easy to memorize. The big colorwork section is probably this one, my Uccello. How many times am I going to say this when I can't say it? This is 24 stitches, so I believe this one is 40 across. This big one, still memorizable. I might be getting that totally wrong. It has been a couple of days, but the small ones are only 4 stitches in a repeat, so it's really easy to memorize. I really recommend it, and I'm loving it's the first time that I've held mohair double with another yarn. I'm absolutely loving it. I can't get enough. I think I will order 1 million more balls of mohair. It does scratch me. I didn't think that I had sensitive skin. It doesn't feel like it's scratching, it just feels tingly. And I have heard other podcasters say that as you wear mohair, it warms the fibers. So I don't know if your skin just gets used to it or if the fibers relax a little bit. Not sure, but that kind of helps. So after you wear it for a little bit, it's probably a combination of all of those things. So yeah, I'm not super worried about it being scratchy. I wear an undershirt or a tank top or cami underneath my sweaters anyway, so that'll help a little bit. But yeah, really loving this. Don't know how many more times I can say that. So the next thing is just, those are all my whips. I have only put a couple of inches on my weekender sweater. It is a bottom up sweater by Andrea Malmry, and I'm doing it in Yarn Bee Rustic Romantic Oaky Wheat colorway, which is a worsted weight yarn. I would also consider that one a little bit on the heavier worsted weight side. So I'm maybe like a third of the way up the body, and I'm making these size 5 in that sweater. I was making the size 2 if you've watched the other podcast, so that is a dramatic increase in sizes, but I figure I love my sweaters oversized. It is acrylic. I could probably shrink it if I wanted to, and since it's bottom up, you seam the shoulders together, so if the neck hole ends up being too big and it's sliding all around all over the place, I can just seam it up a little bit more closer to my neck and it won't be an issue. And of course you can make the sleeves as long as you want and decrease and make them more fitted as much as you want. So that is not a problem as long as the body of the sweater is fine, which I think that it will be. I'm planning on wearing it with jeans and leggings, so I want it to be pretty long. So that's going to be a slow going project probably, because after completing the sweater one time, minus the sleeves, and ripping it out and then starting again, I have kind of lost my mojo on that whole situation. But it is nice. It's pretty much a stockinette, round and round and round, with a couple of embellishments. So it is also a mindless knit. I say mindless, I don't think that's like it doesn't sound very nice, but y'all know what I mean. So when I finish or get tired of my farmhouse shawl, I'll probably just alternate those two, because that is also an easy-ish project to work on with Charlotte around, because I can just stop and go at any time. And I am still working on my Hermione's Everyday Socks, which is a pattern by Erica Luda. It's a free pattern on Ravelry that everybody has made. And I was watching another knitting podcast a couple of days ago, and everybody knits socks, and I have not finished a pair of socks yet. And I am not a knitter yet with a capital K. I think that when I finish these two sweaters, I will be a knitter with a capital K. If they fit and everything, we'll see. Y'all follow along in this journey. Watch this space. I will be a knitter with a capital K in no time. If I can do this in 2 or 3 days, yeah, okay, I deserve my capital K. Anyways, she was saying, it was Amy Florence with the Stranded podcast, of course, y'all know her, that you're crazy if you're knitting socks with lace weight yarn. Well, guess what this woman's doing? This is a yarn that I'm using for those socks. Always shows up pink on the camera. This is and I know, sorry, all of my yarn is so messy. This is such a professional podcast, y'all. Shows up more pink on the camera, but it is a red, speckled beautifulness. And I decided to call this Peppermint Candy. It is a straight up peppermint color in person. It's beautiful. So when I do start dyeing yarn, I definitely want to tweak and do this colorway. Anyway, back to the point is that this is a BFL lace weight yarn. And I know that BFL nylon. So I know both of those are hard wearing. Socks have always, the yarn has a nylon content, and then BFL itself is a little bit hard wearing than, say, a merino. Hordes. Than a merino. So I was like, yeah, I'll just cast on these for my socks. No problem. And they are so fiddly. Oh, and I did want to say, I'm remembering all of these things. I could do show notes. That would be smart. But I thought I was doing them on a 2.75 millimeter needle. I did get I have a gauge checker that you can check your gauge and needle size. So they are 2.25. I am using the correct size needles for my socks, but this is a lace weight. So Amy's saying that you're crazy if you do, she was like, you're crazy, but do you, whatever. But I realize that's probably why I'm having so much trouble. Not only, BFL nylon is squishy, but it's not as squishy as a it's not as squishy. So it's hard on my hands. It's so delicate and fiddly. And I'm here, I don't have my socks out here with me. This is my basket, stuff. I don't have them out here with me, but it's just really hard, honestly. So every time I see people making socks, I'm like, wow, they are so good. Look at all these socks that these people are making. That's amazing. And it just blows my mind. It's amazing. But maybe I'm making it harder on myself than it is supposed to be, is the issue here. So I'm not sure if I'm going to continue. Maybe I will rip them out and then use that yarn. I have 100 grams. So maybe I'll use it for something else, but I've just come so far with the one sock and I hate ripping things out. So I'm just letting them sit beside my bed while I think about it and stare at them. So we'll see. And then the last whip that I have is my cross stitch, my Brooks Books blog summer, autumn, spring, and summer, autumn, spring, and winter house cross stitch. I didn't bring it out here because I haven't worked on it. My goal was to finish the autumn house, which is Halloween themed, by October 31st, but life has just gotten a little chaotic, as you know life tends to do coming up on the holiday season. So I haven't really, and I cast on all of the color work. So my attention has been on my color work and just life in general. I haven't had that much time to do my crafty things. So I just haven't finished that yet, but I will. And I believe my goal was to start the winter house in January, or was it November? It is November, so I've missed that goal. I can't remember what I've said, but in my head, January at least, to start the winter house, because it does stay cold here for a little while, so I won't feel like I'm working on the winter house in summer if I delay that a little bit. And I don't have that much longer to go on the autumn house either, but since I'm filling in all of the white space with white thread, that is what is going to take me the longest. So if I want to have that finished by the time I'm 55, I may want to jump on that. So yeah, that's everything that I've been working on. So the next section is my stash acquisition section, which I will have to do once Charlotte goes down for her last nap of the day, which I don't think that she is going to take because her schedule has been a little crazy today. Her teeth have popped through and she's just a little in pain a little bit, so I don't think that she's going to take that last nap. So hopefully I'll be able to record the rest this afternoon. If not, when Kyle gets home from work, if the lighting is not just absolutely abysmal, I can try to record after she goes to bed or when he gets home, or I will have to do it tomorrow. Such is life. So I will be back with my stash acquisition section. Hi. So I didn't say the date. It is November 11th. And this morning I was recording probably around 10 o'clock. It is now almost 3:30, and I did successfully get Charlotte down for her last nap of the day and recorded the final sections of this podcast, in fact. And then she woke up, so I was going to do my goodbyes with her, and went to rewatch just to see where I left off, and my phone didn't record them. It did, but it said I had low storage space. This is a total woe is me moment. Oh my gosh, I know everybody drones on and on about the amount of times they record. I've even done that in this episode, and then all the crazy things that happened while they're podcasting. But my God, if every single thing has not happened to me, which is probably the reason half of the time why I am not recording. Why it takes me so long to put out a podcast. I have a very limited time to do it because when Charlotte is here, she is demanding all the attention, and I'll bring her up and the dogs are going to click-clack around. Sorry, y'all. But I just have a few more things to say, so hopefully it won't take too long. But it's my stash acquisition section. So I already told y'all about the Chagu needles that my Occhiello sweater, which by the way is by Handmaid's Closet. It is on the 3.75 Chagu red lace needles, and I also bought a 3.5 of these. And like I said, my hands are not dying with these, and it is just amazing. Here you go. Yeah, play with your bookie. It's so much better. I am loving them, and I can't wait to do a smaller size sweater, which I know a lot of sweaters call for 3.5, so that should not be a problem. And I really love these compared to the commercial needles you can buy at all of your major big box craft stores. Super nice. And mention these, my Knit Picks DPN, like I would like a sock set. And these are the 4-inch because they were significantly cheaper than they have other colors. I don't know if they had steel ones, but these are wood 4-inch. And if you have the budget for it, I would recommend getting the 6+ inch ones. because my stitches slip off of these. I do make the bigger sizes of most of the garments. So if you're a smaller size, I assume that wouldn't be as much of an issue for you. But for the large and extra large sizes, it's just a little tedious is all. It's not that big. Hi, Bars. This is Barley. It's not that big of a deal. But yeah, super budget friendly for those. And now I'm all set to do, I bought them to do, not for socks. I could use them for socks. I have a set of 2.25 millimeter DPNs, 6-inch steels that I'm using for my socks. No, it's a microphone, huh? She notices everything. Yeah. But I bought them for sleeves and ribbing for sweaters, which I've done both my Winter Me and the Handmaid's Closet sweater so far, and it worked out just fine, and I really enjoyed it. So, and the Chalgoos I got in the 40-inch, 102 centimeter size, because I figured, because I am on a budget, that would, I can do magic loop for shorter things, and then this sweater takes up the whole. Now I've increased as much as I think I'm going to increase. There might be a couple more after the yoke. I'm not sure though, because I have quite a few stitches on there, and my Winter Me is now almost 500 stitches after the last increase. So, and that one's on 16-inch, so I probably need to like swap them or something. But yes, you can do magic loop, or you can just use them as normal. So that works out for me. But if I do buy more needles, this is so funny. So I know that Signature brand needles are very expensive, but very worth it, just from research and watching other podcasters and such. But so I just assumed that all of the, like the Licca, Chalgoo, what else, Hayas, I just assumed that all of those were just as expensive, you know, like $40-50 a set. But that's not the case for Chalgoo. I haven't looked at the Haya because I love the Chalgoo so much, but I need to look and see if those are super budget friendly as well, because the needles at, you know, the big box stores are the same price as these, so you might as well get these, which I can advocate really help your hands, like really. And I know my hands cramp as well because I do continental knit, which is supposed to cut down on it, but it's just the way I'm holding the needles because I am a crocheter first and foremost, so I know that's why. But yeah, enough about the needles. The other thing I wanted to show, I showed this briefly. This is, both of these are Bay Horse yarns. This is the Shad Belly colorway in a discontinued base. I think she was calling it her pony sock. It's a 100% superwash single ply merino, and this is my pride and joy. This is the Barnwood colorway, and I bought 2 of these, and I will put, look how beautiful that is. I will put a picture of it in the Hanks up on the screen so you can see. I just couldn't wait to cake it up and get started. So it is mainly undyed with brown speckles of red, yellow, and blue, which if I was going to buy indie dyed yarn, which y'all know if you've watched, I am not able to do a lot of the time, any of the time until now. These are not my colors. Like at all, and I have seen some gorgeous indie dyed yarn, but I saw this on Instagram and I had to have it. And Pam, the owner of this company, was so nice. We follow each other on Instagram, running a sale, all of that, and she donates 10% of each sale to a charity or organization that protects working class horses, donkeys, mules. It's listed on her website if you want to check it out. I will leave a link to her website in the description box below. So I will do helical knitting with the Barnwood colorway. Oh, let me show you her ball band one more time. Bay Horse yarns, and show you the, if I can get it together. One-handed is hard. It's the Barnwood. Hopefully that's focusing. The Barnwood colorway, it is a fingering weight, 85% extra fine, superwash merino, 19.5 microns. So I think is it the lower the microns, the softer it is? 15% nylon, 4-ply, 437 yards, and 100 grams. So it's gorgeous. It's absolutely gorgeous, and I love it. I'm obsessed. Like I said, I was going to put that as my main body color for this sweater, but because I don't love it, I don't want to use it in that, and I will save it for, I'll get some little minis or something and either do that sweater, because I do love that sweater and I'm definitely making it again. So that would be beautiful in the body of that sweater. If y'all remember the picture, if I can remember, I'll try to put it up again. But it's kind of a tone, speckly yarn in the samples, all of the on the project page. So it lends itself to that. So I just need to find a couple of contrasting colors, because you need under 300 yards for the top section, and then maybe under 200 or like 150 for the other colorwork section. So you really don't need a lot. So it's totally doable. So that is that. And the other acquisitions I have are these. So try to make this quick. I'm sorry, y'all. I've been watching, watch every single recommended video that comes up, and then if I like the podcaster, I'll go back and watch all of their videos, which is awesome, because it's like binge watching a Netflix show or something, where you're like, oh, I wish there was another episode, but there is. So it's like that for knitting podcasts for me. So I was watching the Happy Knitting podcast with Julia. She is in Germany, and she recommended this. It's drops, but you can get it at Wool Warehouse. So that came all the way from Wool Warehouse in the UK. And I know we're not supposed to talk about prices, but shipping to me in Tennessee from the UK was $2.99, and I ordered it on a Thursday and got it the following, she's hitting the ball band, got it the following Thursday. So it only took a week to get to me. Amazing, and so inexpensive. And in US dollars, I think it was like $2 or $3 per ball. In pounds, and then US dollars like $1, $2 per ball. It's just amazing. And most of these are wool, so I'll just show you a couple. This is what I got for my no frills that I was going to make. They do mohair, and these are like $2, which is amazing, like just amazing. 75% mohair, 25% silk. These come in 25 gram balls and 210 meters, 230 yards. So I think I was thinking they came in 50 gram balls is my issue, because I only ordered 2 of this gray and then 2 pink. So not enough for the no frills. So I wasn't able to make that, but I will eventually. And then I showed y'all the Drops Flora. None of these have color names on the bands, but if you want to go to the Wool Warehouse website, you'll see all of these colors for sure. And then I got a couple of the Drops Alpaca. The Flora is, I'm sure y'all know this, it's 65% wool, 35% alpaca, and these are little 50 grams balls, and this one is just 100% alpaca, a little bit less yardage, 183 yards, but it's so fuzzy. It's gorgeous, and I love it so much. So I got a couple blues, some greens, dark and light gray, and the mohair, some pinks. I think that's it. I say that's it as there's like 60 balls of yarn, which isn't that much. They're only 50 gram balls, and I am loving the wool versus the acrylic texture. So toothy, and because I'm obsessed with color work, you can just tell a big difference in the way that the stitches line up and the colorwork definition. It is just incredible. So yeah, that's my new go-to budget-friendly wool now. And I don't care that it's not super wash. I know some people are precious about that, but I love it. It's so woolly, and I just love it. So I did want to mention, as we're coming up on Christmas, we got down all of our Christmas decorations, which I am going to do Vlogmas. I'm really excited. So Kyle got me, so hard to show you guys, this knitting needle holder last Christmas or the Christmas before. One Christmas. Here are all the pockets. So cute. And it was tucked away in one of the winter boxes. So that's why I couldn't find it, because I have been looking everywhere for it since I got all this knitting mojo, like out of nowhere. So I'm keeping all of my knitting stuff in that, and I need to organize my most recent acquisitions into that for sure. It's very exciting because that is so cute. And right now they're just in a mason jar. I know I'm in Tennessee and all, but not everything needs to be in a mason jar, am I right? Or, I mean, maybe it does. I like mason jars. But yes, I wanted to talk about some other things, but I'll just save it for next week. Because, yeah, it's getting later. I'm tired. Yeah, and this is long enough probably for y'all, right? So, yeah, I'll leave y'all here. I will leave my social media links in the description box below. And I will say that I was doing show notes, but I haven't been doing show notes lately just because they do take up a lot of time. And I have pretty good project pages. I am in the process of going and updating what yarns I've used on the ones I can remember. And from here on out, I will definitely be linking everything and modifications that I've made. I still need to take some project pictures like of this sweater. And so, yeah, I'll leave all those links below if you want to check any of that out. And I hope y'all have a very knitty crochet week or 2 weeks until our next podcast. And I thank all y'all, I'm trying not to be so Southern. It is Southern Makes, right? I thank all of you guys for watching me talk and listening to all of my projects. This is super fun. I love getting all of my stuff together and, doing this. And I hope you've enjoyed seeing Charlotte in her fussiness for a minute. We're going to go and eat some green beans. I think that's what's on the docket for this afternoon, some green beans. And I will knit some more. So until next time, bye guys.